Good morning from the city of Medan in Sumatra. Very early in the morning here. I think it's 5:30, but I woke up, had one cup of coffee, and I'm ready to tell a story. The last time you saw me on video, I was still in the city of Kuala Lumpur, and that video was all about a detour that I took from where I was in Sumatra. I was in the small coastal town of Tanjung Balai, and then I traveled by boat back to Port Dickson, and I went from Port Dickson to Kuala Lumpur. I stayed in Kuala Lumpur for 4 or 5 days, and then I flew to Jakarta, and then from Jakarta back here to Medan in Sumatra. And I put something up on the community tab, a post there yesterday, and I showed why I did that long detour from Tanjung Balai to Jakarta and then back to Sumatra. And the reason for that is that a Planet Doug supporter and mystery benefactors reached out to me, and they offered to give me a brand new laptop that I can use for editing videos and all the other things I need to do to run the Planet Doug YouTube channel and the whole YouTube community. So that was very exciting. I went to Jakarta to meet up with my mystery benefactors. They were there for only a brief amount of time, so I flew into Jakarta to meet up with them, and they gave me the laptop as well as some other gifts that I'll talk about in a few minutes. And in this video, what I thought I would do is just show some pictures from that trip and basically tell the story and introduce to you the newest member of the Planet Doug technological world, the new laptop. I know that a lot of people never see the community tab posts, so I posted pictures of the laptop there, but then a lot of people don't even know that the community tab exists. So I thought I should talk about the laptop a little bit here on video. So and I'm doing this video in a very unusual way in that all the photos I'm going to be talking about, I have them open here on my smartphone. So I'm going to be scrolling through the pictures and then talking about them, and then you will see them full size on the video. A little bit of an unusual approach, I guess, but yeah, feels like this is going to work out just fine. So the star of this video is the laptop. So before I even tell the story, I want to show you the laptop, put that front and center. So there it is. That is the new laptop in my life. It's got a very long and complicated name. This picture is from the Asus website, in fact. It is the Asus TUF Gaming A16 Advantage Edition from 2023. So it's a little bit of a hybrid, and I find myself a little bit in unfamiliar waters because it is a gaming computer, but it's a little bit of a hybrid. It's not a pure gaming computer. And of course, gaming computers are very similar to video editing computers in that they have a lot of power to run graphics. And if you want to edit 4K videos, you need powerful graphics capability, and a gaming computer has those. And but yeah, there it is, the Asus TUF A16, and this one is a bit unusual even for Asus, and I'll talk about that in a minute. There is my actual laptop. I just took it out of the box, and you're supposed to plug it in for 3 hours to charge up the battery before you do anything with it, and that's what I was doing there. When I was handed the laptop, I have to say I was a little bit taken aback by its weight and its size. So my relationship with this laptop at the moment is constantly reminding myself of all the special qualities of this laptop and convincing myself that all of these special qualities make up for the extra weight. Because it is, I mean, gaming computers, one of the main things about them, and I didn't know about this at all, and while I talk about this, let's move on to another picture. There you can see the laptop outside of its box. It has a 16 by 10 screen, So it has quite a large screen, 90% screen to body ratio. So one thing I really love about this laptop so far, which I wasn't expecting, was just how big the screen is and how nice it looks. Working on this laptop, doing anything on this laptop, I feel like I'm sitting in a movie theater because I'm so accustomed to doing everything on a smartphone, very, very tiny screen, or on a like a smaller, like 13-inch laptop. Jumping up to this 16 by 10 is really quite an experience. But what I was saying is that a gaming laptop tends to have what they call a discrete GPU, which I guess stands for graphic processing unit. So that was what I had my heart set on. I really wanted my next laptop to have a dedicated GPU rather than one that's sort of built into the motherboard or built into the CPU. I don't really know the technical language here, and I didn't know anything about GPUs, but it turns out, like, I thought a GPU was a little chip, like a chip that they put on in the computer somewhere, but it isn't. It's a big component with, I think, its own memory, its own power supply, two fans most of the time. It's a big, heavy thing. So when you take a laptop, say any laptop, and let's say it's a relatively small and lightweight one, maybe weighs 3 pounds, 3.5 pounds, something like that. But now you take that laptop and put in a GPU, well, the GPU itself weighs 2 pounds. So now your laptop weighs 5.5 pounds. So there's no getting around it. If you want a laptop with a GPU, a discrete GPU, it's going to add 1.5 pounds or 2 pounds to the laptop. So it gets quite a bit heavier. And then in this case, I guess they also need a lot of power to run, and the power has to be, I don't know, I guess it has to be high quality power because the power brick that came with this laptop was also quite big and heavy. So the overall package was heavy, particularly when it was inside the cardboard box. But of course, once you take it out of the box alone weighs like 2 kilograms. So that's why it felt so heavy to me. But then once I removed it from the box, set aside the power supply, and just started using the laptop, I'm really starting to love it. So I think I'm going to have a long relationship with this laptop. Moving on to the next photo, there's a picture of the keyboard, and it also has a bit of an unusual keyboard because it is a gaming computer. And I don't know why gamers need it, but apparently gaming laptops have a number keypad. So you've got the regular keyboard, and on the right-hand side, you can see it's got a number keypad, which technically I don't actually need, but I don't mind having it. It doesn't bother me that it's there. And it has a very nice trackpad as well. So there it is, the brand new member of the Planet Doug world of technology. This is an amazing thing. It's really quite something to have this in my life. Let's take a look at some of the specs here for anyone out there that's really interested in the technology. It has this particular Asus TUF laptop has Ryzen components. So it has an AMD Ryzen CPU. They go as high, I think, as the Ryzen 9. This one has the Ryzen 7, a 77335HS mobile processor, 8-core, 16-thread, 16 megabytes of L3 cache memory, on and on and on. So anyway, it is quite a powerful processor. The Ryzen 9 would be more powerful, but then you're talking about probably doubling the cost of the laptop. And the Ryzen 7 seems to be a real sweet spot for affordability and power. And then right below that, you see the GPU, an AMD Radeon RX 7700S. And it has 8 gigabytes of memory built into it. And apparently, when you have a GPU, video editing and video exporting goes very, very fast. So I will be able to edit 4K video, 5.3K video, 8K video, whatever I want to edit. This laptop should be able to handle it no problem. And with my MacBook that I was using for many, many years, when I was exporting, if I was trying to do like a 4K video and exporting it, it would take from 10 to 14 hours to finish the export of the final video. And I'm pretty sure that with this laptop, that 14-hour export will come down to like 15 minutes. We'll see. I haven't shot any 4K full Planet Doug videos yet, so I'm very much looking forward to see just how fast this laptop can chew up 4K video, edit it, and export it. And out of the box, this laptop came with 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, which I'm told is the good RAM, DDR5, very fast, very high-powered RAM. And it could be expanded to 32 gigabytes if I thought that was necessary, but I thought 16 gigabytes was plenty, especially when you combine it with 8 gigabytes of RAM that's in the GPU itself. But who knows? If I come across an affordable stick of 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM and I think I could benefit from it, maybe I'll put that in at some point. And very exciting is that my mystery benefactors upgraded the internal memory. I think it came with a 1 terabyte SSD drive, and I'm very happy that he upgraded it, because running into memory limitations is always a huge problem for me. And it takes up so much time as you're constantly moving things around and copying and pasting things and trying to make room for new video files. So he basically, as he told the story, he spoke to the man at the computer store and said, like, what's the maximum amount we can put into this laptop? And it has 2 SSD slots. And the guy says, well, there's 2 slots, so you can put in 2 SSD drives, maximum 2 terabytes each. And he says, let's do that. Planet Doug needs more memory, needs the maximum amount of memory. So in fact, this laptop has 4 terabytes of SSD memory, which is unbelievable. And then again, I talked about how I keep trying to convince myself that the extra 2 pounds of weight is of benefit to me, trying to make myself become happier with the extra weight. And one of the things you get is a metal or very, very strong chassis. And that leads to what they call here military grade standards for durability and reliability. And you also get 12 to 13 hours of battery life. Comes with Windows 11 Pro. The display is very, very nice. It really does feel like I'm sitting in a movie theater. Last night I was watching some YouTube videos, like some music videos and movie trailers, just sort of putting the screen through its paces. And I had earbuds plugged in so I could listen to the highest quality audio in my brain. Rather than listening to the laptop speakers, I used earphones. And man, it was amazing. It was really something else. I was watching all these YouTube videos that I'm very familiar with, but I was seeing them as if they were brand new, because the screen is so big and so detailed and so beautifully lit up and colors. I could see everything going on. I saw all these things in the background I never saw before. So it's pretty amazing that way. It has a powerful cooling system, as it says there, 84 blade arc flow fans. There's 2 of them with 6 heat pipes and 4 exhaust vents. That is a very nice thing to have. It also adds to the weight. But my MacBook Pro suffered a lot because I really worked it hard. No 13-inch MacBook Pro was supposed to be working as hard and as long as I made it work, and it overheated a lot. I mean, it got really, really hot. And I think that's why it eventually just completely broke down, because I just burned out all of the electrical components. It just couldn't stay cool enough. But this laptop is designed to run at a high level, producing a lot of heat because of all the power it has, and then it dissipates the heat with these 84 blade arc flow fans, Wi-Fi 6, and then a 90 watt hour battery, and power delivery. It says built right into this rugged chassis. Last list, one thing I really wanted in a laptop were a lot of ports, because that is a sacrifice with a MacBook Pro that I had. It was an older MacBook Pro, and that's when Apple was moving towards getting rid of all the ports. They wanted everything to be wireless and Bluetooth, or however MacBooks work. So there was not a single USB-A port, for example, and really only one usable USB-C port on the MacBook. So I always had to get tons of adapters and unplugging, plugging in, unplugging, plugging something else in. It was a little bit of an effort. But this laptop, as you can see, has a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and then two USB 3.2 Generation 1 Type A, 5 gigabits per second speed, one USB 3.2 Generation 2 Type C, and then another Type C USB 4 that has 40 gigabytes per second top speed, and then has a LAN port, which I don't think I will ever use. And then it's just got all the ports that you might want. So that is the story of what the laptop is, and of course I have to show it to you in person. So let me grab it. I have it here, and it's off on the right. Let me pick it up, and there it is. Look at that, 16 by 10. So as I said, that was a bit of a surprise to me. One of the, like, if it comes to like media consumption, I might normally use a smartphone. So this would be the screen that I'm used to. And so you can imagine the jump in size. Or I might use a tablet. I do have this tablet. Ages ago, my mystery benefactor, when I was living in Thailand during the pandemic, gave me that MacBook Pro, the 13-inch MacBook Pro, which saved Planet Doug, basically, because my laptop, the only laptop I've ever had was a Dell Inspiron 11. Was it an 11-inch? I guess, yeah, an 11-inch screen. Dell Inspiron 11, which was like a student-oriented laptop, which was never designed to handle any graphics, certainly no video editing. But that's what I used for years when I started up the channel. And then it broke down completely when I was in Myanmar, and it stopped working, and I wasn't able to get it fixed. So I had no laptop at all, and I was editing all my videos on an old Motorola smartphone or something like that. I can't even remember, but I was editing videos on a smartphone, and then a mystery benefactor from Malaysia gave me a MacBook Pro, and I used that to edit videos, and that kept the channel alive. But he also sent me this tablet, a Samsung Galaxy tablet. So this is the screen that I've been using for if I want to watch a movie or a TV show. And now it seems big to me. Like, I jumped from my smartphone world, this, to this, and it was like, man, I am living in the lap of luxury now with my tablet, because I'd never had a tablet before either. This was the first tablet in my life, and it was amazing to get that into my life. But now we've got this screen, which is absolutely amazing. So there it is, the Asus TUF, and there's the bottom of it, speakers and all kinds of openings here. This is for all the airflow, all these little openings here, fans here blowing air, a big port on the side here for blowing out air, another one on the side here for blowing out air. And then, of course, when you open up the laptop. There's another one here for blowing out air. So it's got a lot of cooling. I remember with my MacBook Pro, most of the air blown out by the fan seemed to come out of one port, and it was like hot air. It would actually, I usually put laptops on my thighs when I'm working, and where the MacBook Pro blew out the hot air, it would like burn my skin. It got that hot, and I'd have to shut it down and let it cool down again. But this is blowing air out in all directions, and I don't notice any heat at all. I don't feel any heat generation at all. So yeah, there is the TUF A16 with the 16 by 10 inch screen, which is absolutely amazing. Yeah. See all the ports on that side? Yeah, it's actually got a totally different design. Like I said, I'm still trying to get used to it, because I think as a gaming laptop with a dedicated GPU, a discrete GPU, discrete means it's separate, so it's a separate GPU. And if I understand how these things are built, the GPU unit goes all the way across here. So the two big fans are here, and the GPU occupies this whole area here at the top, which means it has a port fan, like a here. I forgot, there's even more. And then here as well. So this is like, what do you call them? I'm calling them ports, but they're exhaust fans, exhaust vents, whatever they are. So there's one here, and then one here, which means you can't put any ports there. Like, I'm used to laptops, they have all the ports here, the top right and the top left. But because of this GPU design, that space is taken up with these vents. So therefore, the ports are down here, they're lower. So here are all the USB-C ports and the audio jack, and that's the power audio. They're all down here. I'm not sure if that's in the screen or not. So it's kind of weird. I got to get used to this placement, because all this space is used up with the vents. And what I just noticed as I've been showing this is that there's more on the back, vents here as well. So this baby just vents the heat out constantly. And it also is SSD drives, so you don't feel anything at all. Like with my old Inspiron, my Dell, it was a hard disk drive. So when you turn it on, it's like, you know, it vibrates, you can feel it, and it's generating heat. You turn this on, and you don't feel anything. There's no vibration, there's no noise, there's nothing going on. So there it is, the the Asus TUF. I just sort of sit, I just like running my hands over it, and yeah, I can't get over this thing, that it is in my life, seriously. So there it is, and yeah, the Asus TUF A16 Advantage. So that is the computer, and now that you have seen it, I can go back in time a little bit, and I just want to tell the story of going to get it, because to be honest, when I left from Tanjung Balai to go to Jakarta, it felt like such a weird detour. My original idea was not even to tell anybody. I was just going to leave Tanjung Balai. I wasn't going to shoot any video. I wasn't going to announce anything. I was just going to get on the boat, go to Malaysia, fly from Kuala Lumpur to Jakarta, and then come back. And suddenly I would just be back in Tanjung Balai with my bicycle, and I would have a new laptop. And then I would say, you know, surprise, I went to Jakarta, I was gone for a week, but now I'm back, here's my new laptop. That's what I was going to do. But then I was taking the Becak in Tanjung Balai, going from my hotel to the dock to get on the boat. And I was just looking at the world around me, and everything was so interesting. I thought, man, I really got to capture some of this on some kind of video. And I didn't have my GoPros set up. I didn't have any microphones set up or anything like that. So all I did is I just grabbed my smartphone out of my pocket and I just started filming a little bit, and then I started talking into the camera, and I said, I'm on my way to Jakarta, or I'm on my way to Malaysia, then Jakarta, and then I'm going to be meeting my mystery benefactors who are going to give me a new laptop. So then I just started shooting little clips here and there, what I call now vignettes. And yeah, so after that, I recorded some video about going to Kuala Lumpur, a lot of the meals that I had in Kuala Lumpur, but then I didn't do any filming at all when I flew to Jakarta. I had a lot of things going on at the time. I have a big project underway that I've mentioned once before, and I've been spending a lot of time on that. So I was occupied with other things. And yeah, I just wasn't... I've also had this experience recently where I needed to sort of like reduce the amount of Planet Doug video that I'm shooting, because every bit of Planet Doug video I shoot, you need all that time to edit it, and you have to pick and choose what you shoot video of. And I thought, well, all I'm doing is going to the airport, flying to Jakarta. I don't need to make a whole Planet Doug video about going back to KLIA airport in Malaysia and then flying to Jakarta and going to another airport. And I had no plans to go into the city at all. I was meeting my mystery benefactors at an airport hotel. So I barely even needed to leave the hotel. I leave the airport, just like a shuttle bus from the airport to the hotel, meet my mystery benefactors, get the laptop, some other amazing presents, and then take the shuttle bus back to the airport and fly back here. I had no intention of going into Jakarta. I wasn't going to explore the city. I wasn't going to travel around Java. So I thought there's no point recording all of this in video, which is why I didn't, which is why I took pictures, which is why I'm making this video. So picture number one, it's right there. I always take a picture of my hotel in where I'm leaving from. Partially because it's just a memory for me. That is my hotel room in Kuala Lumpur. And I also take these pictures just to show I left the room in good condition in case there's any sort of a issue about that. I can show them, okay, this is the room when I left. And there's me posing with my luggage. My luggage was very awkward because I came to Sumatra with a touring bicycle, which means I didn't have a backpack. So I had no backpack to use for my luggage, so I packed up everything into this little vinyl cheap luggage bag that you can buy for like 6 ringgit at the market. And then I put all my luggage in there and wrapped it up with rope and made a little elongated cube out of it. And yeah, it's very awkward to carry around. But I didn't have to worry about carrying it too far because my friend KY, he offered once again to drive me to the airport. So there's KY. He picked me up at my hotel in Kuala Lumpur. I made arrangements with KY to go to the airport really early because I was not in the mood to be stressed out. I didn't want to be rushing. I wanted to get to the airport like 3 hours before my flight. I was going to go straight through customs and immigration, and then I'd have lots and lots and lots of time. I didn't want to rush at all. I really wanted to relax. And KY stepped up and said, Doug, I gotcha. I'll be there. We'll hop in my car and we'll get to the airport. So there I am at the airport, posing with all of the luggage trolleys. Very happy to be there. And it was an interesting experience because all the other trips I've taken, I either took the airport bus, which dumps you quite far away from the departure terminal, and then you have to walk all the way through this giant shopping mall, go up a couple of levels by elevator and escalator before you finally get to the other end of the mall. Then you cross a busy road, and then you end up in the departure terminal. Or KY would drive me there before, And then he would park in an underground parking area, and then we would follow this convoluted path, elevators, hallways, escalators, and finally get to the departure lounge. But on this occasion, he dropped me off right at the departure gate. Just boom, I was there. And I'd never gone to the airport that way before. So it was a lot of fun. And the airport looked completely different to me. And I'd done this a few times. So when I tracked down the luggage tag machine, I had no issues this time. I knew exactly what to do. I'd already checked in online and I had everything under control. I had no issues at all. I just went up to the machine, scanned my boarding pass, said I'd like to print out a baggage tag. I printed it out, and then I was able to put it onto my awkward piece of luggage, bring it over to the self drop off. Everything at KLIA is you do it yourself. You don't go to any kind of a check-in counter anymore. You go to machine, you check in online, get your own luggage tag, drop off your own bag. And I've done it a few times now, so I feel like a little bit of an expert. I was flying on Air Asia, so one of those jets out there was mine. I don't know which one. I had some small adventures in the airport, in the departure lounge, but nothing I really need to talk about here. So it turned out there are 3 different departure gates. I think Q, K, and L or something like that. I can never keep them straight in my head. One of them is the bad one. Narrow hallways, crowded, uncomfortable. For this flight, I got one of the good ones, so I was very happy about that. And then once you're on Air Asia jets, though, this is what you're dealing with. No legroom at all for someone like me. And I was sitting in my chair completely upright with my back pushed as far back against the seat as it would go, and still there was no room for my knees, and they were jammed against the seat in front of me. Looking out the window, of course. Yeah, it's amazing. I got a window seat, and this was a brand new route that I followed. I'd never flown this direction. Well, I guess I did ages ago, like literally decades ago, was the only other time I flew into Jakarta. And I flew into Jakarta from Kuala Lumpur, but it was so long ago, I have no memory of it, like nothing. I don't even have any pictures, because at that time, for some reason, I decided taking pictures was a chore or something. I had no camera with me, so I have no pictures of that trip to Jakarta. And anyway, so this flight was kind of fun for me because I was flying over a part of the Malacca Strait and over Sumatran Islands that I'd never flown over before for a long time. So it was a lot of fun to look out the window. And here I am on the plane, and I think I have a little bit of video I can play here.
Your attention, ladies and gentlemen, paging for Mr. Azim Zahid, Miss Najiha Muhammad Noor, Miss Ashifa Shalsabila, and Miss Jara Kalisa. Kindly identify yourself at the cabin crew or staff in front. Thank you.
And then we are in the air. And what I was talking about, flying over some areas I wasn't familiar with, that's what I'm talking about. Like the land below me there, those islands, I had no idea what they were. So I enjoyed myself on this flight because I could look out the window and I saw all these islands going by, and I could compare what I was seeing out my window with Google Maps and follow the route there. It was a really enjoyable flight. Window seat, as I said. The flight was completely full, but window seat, I was very, very comfortable. I always have the exact same meal for some reason. I get this Air Asia package, which comes with one checked bag, seat selection, and one meal. And the only reason I'm showing this picture is because whenever I'm talking about it on video, I always call it Uncle Ben's chicken rice, because Uncle Ben's is this cheap rice mix that I grew up with in Canada. Uncle Ben's stovetop rice, or anyway, Uncle Ben's always comes out of my mouth, and then later on when I see the picture, I'm like, it's not Uncle Ben's, it's Uncle Chen's chicken rice. So that was the meal that I had on the flight. I'm now in the airport in Jakarta, and this was a brand new experience for me. As I said, I went to the Jakarta airport, the Soekarno-Hatta International Airport, decades ago, but I have no memory of going through it. And there's the information board for the airport. I had all kinds of adventures with my smartphones, of course. I talk about this a lot, where in Indonesia they have this policy about registering your phones with customs, and you do that with the phone's IMEI number. You see that abbreviation there, IMEI. I think it stands for International Mobile Electronic Identifier, something like that. And it's a little bit like a serial number for your phone. You register that number with customs, and then that prevents you from selling the phone in Indonesia. They make sure that whatever electronics you bring into the country, you bring back out. And they control it through this IMEI number. And I've had lots of issues with that. And because of that, I had to buy a new SIM card. I actually have 3 smartphones. One of my smartphones has been blocked by Indonesian customs for all eternity. The second one only had 30 days left on its customs registration. So I had to get my third phone up and running. So I bought a new SIM card for my third phone, and this is the friendly young man who helped me do that. He helped me with the SIM card, and it seemed to be a little bit of an expensive purchase here at the airport, but I got my money's worth because I had all kinds of trouble with my phone when I was there. Long story, I told this story in a behind the scenes video, so I won't repeat the whole story, but basically I needed to install a train ticket app in order to buy a train ticket, and I had to install an eWallet so I could pay for the train ticket. All of this in Indonesia is done cashless. You can't actually pay. You have to use an e-wallet. And because my phones had been blocked by customs, the apps were also blocked. And I had to download and install new versions and open new accounts, which involved sending security codes. It ended up being a huge mess. And I was in the airport for 3 hours just trying to sort out my SIM card, my new phone, and then downloading the ticket for the ticketing app for the train station, downloading and setting up a new e-wallet, getting money into the e-wallet. Then I could pay for the train ticket, on and on and on. Then I had to figure out how to get the shuttle bus to the hotel. I couldn't figure out how to do that. I actually had to make a phone call the hotel to tell them to come pick me up. Anyway, this young man, he helped me out with all of that. He worked with me for like 3 hours. I kept coming back to this counter and saying sheepishly, do you think you can make a phone call for me? Can you explain what this means? Can you help me out with this? Yeah, he is, as the British would say, a legend. This man was a legend at the Jakarta airport. So there I am waiting at the airport to meet my shuttle bus. That was a long, confusing adventure, but eventually the shuttle bus from the hotel picked me up, and I think there was only one other person on the bus with me, so I practically had the whole bus to myself. And this shuttle bus took me to the Zest Hotel, which is the Zest Airport Hotel, which is connected with, I think, the Swiss Berlin International Hotel chain. So that is where I stayed. And my mystery benefactors they booked my rooms here as well, and they paid for it for me. So they paid for 2 nights for me at this Zest airport, which was very, very comfortable. There I am in my room. It was a big upgrade from my accommodation in Sumatra. So I had a great time there. Amazing water pressure in the bathroom, unbelievably comfortable mattresses, hot water, very spacious and roomy. And I guarantee you, I was not trying to make a rabbit shadow on the bed. All I was doing was giving a peace sign. You get in the habit of doing that in Indonesia because you're always posing for selfies and everybody gives a peace sign. Anyway, I was just giving a peace sign, but I ended up making a shadow rabbit on the bed. And there is the rest of my room. Very comfortable, just very spacious and relaxing. And I got to spend 2 days and 2 nights, I guess in a way 3 days, 2 nights there. Really had an enjoyable time there at the Zest Airport Hotel. Amazing bathroom, as I said, incredible amounts of water pressure, hot water, even hot water in the sink, a bathroom over the sink, brilliantly lit, nice towels, incredible soap and body wash and all the luxuries. Really, really nice to be there for 2 nights. And I think I have a little bit of a video clip here about breakfast because your room came with breakfast. A short video clip to document my breakfast here at the Zest Hotel. And this is the lobby of the Zest Hotel right over there. I was just chatting with the breakfast check-in woman about all these blue suitcases. Strikes me as so funny that everybody in this group has the exact same suitcase. So how are they possibly going to keep them separate? They're all going to end up taking the wrong suitcases. But yeah, here is the breakfast at the Zest. Some boober ayam right there. I think that's what that is. And then a whole bunch of nasi, like rice and potatoes and chicken, all kinds of things. Fruit bar over here. And then down here, all the drinks and the coffee. So, yeah, here we are. And me being me, I'm starting off with coffee. Yeah, I don't want to think about food just yet, so I'm just going to have a cup of coffee. So yeah, these blue suitcases were really quite interesting. This was as I learned later on, these suitcases are provided as part of a package tour. So this was a large group of people going to Saudi Arabia, I believe. And I should have looked this up, but they were flying there on a religious pilgrimage. And I guess there are 2 of them. They weren't going there for the Hajj because it was the wrong time of year for that. They were going for another religious pilgrimage. And my mystery benefactors told me the name of this, and I intended to look up the name. I'll put it on the screen, but I can't remember what it is. But as part of the package, they also provide the luggage. So when you buy your group tour ticket, it gives you the airfare, the accommodation, transportation, and suitcases. So everybody gets the exact same pairing of suitcases, large and small, check-in and carry-on. So I thought that was quite interesting. So I only had a brief amount of time with my mystery benefactors, unfortunately, and then they had to go back to the airport by shuttle bus. I was seeing them off here, and my mystery benefactors, after showering me with gifts, we said goodbye. They got back into the airport, the hotel airport shuttle bus, and they went back to the airport. And then I went back up into my room to enjoy some of these gifts. The laptop, of course, but also chocolate chip cookies. And maybe in this picture that looks like a big chocolate chip cookie, but you have no idea. This was the largest chocolate chip cookie ever made on planet Earth. It was actually a package, a box of 3 of them, and they were called colossal cookies. And my mystery benefactors had purchased these for me and then carried them all the way around the world and presented me with a box of 3 colossal. There you can sort of see just how big it is. And yes, I devoured those, and they were absolutely amazing. The other gift you can see sitting on my nose right there. My mystery benefactors were watching my videos, of course, and I'm always talking about reading glasses, buying them. I have to have 3 different sets of reading glasses, and then I keep changing them. If I want to look at my phone, I put on 1 pair. If I want to look at the laptop computer screen, I put on another pair. I want to look at something far away, I have a 3rd pair, etc. So they offered to, before they came to meet me, they ordered a pair of Foster Grant reading glasses that have 3 separate lenses. And in fact, if we can switch back to the GoPro video right now, I'm wearing them right now, and I had a very enjoyable time even getting these glasses because Foster Grant has a website where you can upload your picture, and then you can pick out all the frames, and then they digitally put them on your face using Photoshop, AI, whatever they're using. So you don't even have to go to the store to try on glasses and look in a mirror. You can actually upload a photograph, and then these are the ones I chose. I thought they looked the best, and I wanted bigger ones because I knew with 3 different lenses, you want as much vertical space for each lens as possible. So the way these work is right now, if I look down at my phone, it's in focus because I'm looking through the bottom 1/3 of the lens. And then if I look up at the GoPro, I'm looking through the middle 1/3, and the GoPro is in focus. And then if I happen to look, or like at a computer screen, which might be down here sort of thing, and then if someone comes over to talk to you, you look up at them, now you're looking through the top 1/3, and they're in focus. So I don't have to be, this is what I normally do. So, I'm sitting here right now, I can barely even see the GoPro. It's just a blur. And then if I want to read something on my phone, I put on these glasses, and then I can look at my phone. Oh, okay. But now I want to look at the GoPro. It's blurry again, so I got to take these off, and then I got to put these on. And then if I want to look at something further away, I take these off and I put on a 3rd pair. So I'm normally doing this, but now with this pair, everything's in focus. I look at my phone, it's in focus. I look at the GoPro, it's in focus. I look over here on the bed around me, it's also in focus. Yeah, they're very, very cool. So, and in this photograph, back on the screen, I'm wearing my new Foster Grants. And those aren't the end of the gifts. They also gave me a 3-kilogram bag of trail mix. And unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the trail mix. I don't know why I forgot, but I powered through the trail mix as well. And Christmas was not over on Planet Doug quite yet. Because they were watching my videos, my mystery benefactors knew about all my struggles with sandals, and they got me a pair of Skechers, which are sort of like hybrid, like half sandals, half shoes. And these are quite special Skechers because they are slip-ins. And it's kind of an interesting thing because it's one of those little features that you might at first think wouldn't be that important. I noticed my mystery benefactors were talking about it quite a bit, like pointing out these, you just step into them. You don't have to bend over. You don't have to do-up laces or Velcro. So all day long, as you're taking them off and putting them back on again, you don't have to bend over all the time. And then when they were saying that, I kind of went, yeah, I see what you mean. But it didn't really hit home what a huge advantage that is, because ever since I've had these, I still have my old sandals. I have my sandals and I have these Skechers, but ever since I got the Skechers, I've never put on my other sandals, because I get up, I'm gonna leave the room, I walk over to the Skechers, the sandals, and I just instinctively put my feet into the Skechers because I don't have to bend over. So I slip my feet into them, I go out, I come back, I kick them off. So yeah, like I had no idea how much I would love these and the ability to slip in and slip out of them until I got them. And they look very fashionable. There you see them on my feet. I had to tell my mystery benefactors my foot size because I couldn't try them on, and I was a little bit worried that we would get the wrong size. I normally get everything the wrong size, but these ended up being a perfect fit. So I felt like I was quite busy when I was in Jakarta, but of course I had to feed myself, and this is one of the meals I had while I was there. Ayam penyet, surprisingly spicy, but this was at a little restaurant right next door. When I was staying at the Zest Hotel, I was actually staying inside like a hotel compound. It's not like a low budget hotel, so everything was self-contained. There was an Indo-Maret right inside the hotel compound. There were restaurants there. There was a Starbucks there. So basically, I never had to leave the hotel, which was also an unusual experience for me. But after 3 days, I hopped into the airport shuttle bus and I went out to the domestic terminal. And this was a new experience for me. I talked about this at length as well in the behind the scenes video, but I don't think I've flown on a domestic flight for decades. I just don't take domestic flights. So the only time I go to an airport, it's always an international flight, which means a lot of stress, a lot of complexity, immigration, customs, all these things, security. So even though I was going on a domestic flight from Jakarta to Sumatra and I could relax, I still had the mental state of someone going on an international flight. I couldn't shake the idea that I wasn't on an international flight, which is really kind of weird. But so there I am checking in for this flight. I booked it on an Indonesian low-budget carrier called Super Airjet, and that was an interesting experience as well. This is the departure gate for Super Airjet. And here, yeah, it was so weird because everything was so casual. And I kept getting a little bit worried because, again, I had the mindset of someone going on an international flight. So I was at the domestic terminal something like 3 hours early because I always would like to go to the airport 3 hours early. But of course, if you're taking a domestic flight and you get to the airport 2 or 3 hours early, well, you are there very early and you have a lot of time to kill. Luckily, I am a YouTuber, so I always have something to do. So I just sat down at the airport and I was just editing video the entire time that I was there. So yeah, a YouTuber never has empty time on their hands. They always have something to do. And here at the departure gate, because it's a domestic flight, there was like no information. I had no idea I was even at the right gate. There was no staff there. There were no signs indicating what airline, what flight, and there's no information at all. It was all very casual. So there's the Super Airjet. I took that out the window as we were starting to board. And one interesting thing about Super Airjet is that it's similar to AirAsia. It's the Indonesian version of AirAsia, but this particular jet had like just 2 or 3 inches more legroom than AirAsia. And you'd think 2 or 3 inches wouldn't make a big difference, but it made a huge difference. sitting on Super Airjet was far more comfortable than sitting in economy class on Air Asia. And continuing with the idea that this was a very casual affair, the plane just parked out on the runway, and then rather than a big bridge coming out, we just walked off the jet and then walked into the terminal and picked up our bags. Here I am at the Medan airport. In Medan, it's called the Kuala Namu International Airport, but it's also a domestic airport, so it's both. But it's a really nice airport. To be honest, I struggled in Jakarta. The Soekarno-Hatta airport felt very unwelcoming to me. It felt difficult to navigate. I couldn't figure the place out. And then landing at Kuala Namu in Medan was a completely different experience. Had this nice, beautiful display of all the tourist attractions of Sumatra. And then this is where you come out, you get your luggage, you walk out into this beautiful, airy, high-ceilinged airport. And the signage just made sense. In Jakarta, I had no idea where to go. I couldn't figure the place out at all. But here in Medan at Kuala Namu, you just walk out, and then there's like a natural flow to the airport. And then this is the transportation building. So you exit the terminal, enter the transportation building, and this is where you get your shuttle buses, your city-to-city buses, and your airport train. And in this case, I decided to take the Rail Link airport train. Look at that, absolutely amazing. Comfortable train, runs on a perfect schedule, never late. And the only issue with this train, as I said, is it's cashless. So you really have to book a seat in advance, and you should do it online, and you can't pay with cash. You have to have some kind of an e-wallet, or you could use your credit card, I guess. And this was my seat. I got seat number 1A, which was kind of a surprise, but I guess I booked it 3 days early. So I guess I was the very first person to book a ticket on this train, and I got 1A. And it turned out to be the worst seat on the train because there's no window. But it didn't really matter because I arrived in the dark, and I arrived at the Medan train station in the dark. This is the train, the airport train. And to the extent that the Kuala Namu airport is amazing and wonderful and easy to navigate, the train station in Medan is very difficult. It's like the opposite of the airport. So like getting from here, this train platform, to get out of the train station was almost impossible to navigate and to figure out. And the only exit I can ever find is this one. And I get dumped out into this weird car ramp and then trying to navigate this. And all around, I arrived in the dark, and the entire area around the train station is a giant construction zone right now. So I'm walking in the dark at the side of the road in a construction zone. I actually had Indonesians coming up to me because they were worried about me, and they walked across this road to talk to me and, "Excuse me, sir, are you okay?" Because it made no sense to them for this foreigner to be stumbling around in the dark here. And Medan has a reputation as being a dangerous city. I think it's called the Gotham City of Indonesia or something like that. It has a bit of a nickname. So I think even people who live in Medan are worried about security. But of course, I'm not that worried about these things myself. And I just picked up my luggage in my arm, and I just walked out into the night. And then I'm trying to navigate this sort of scene in the dark. And yeah, that's actually the train station right there. I ended up having to walk all the way around this huge construction zone, ending up all the way back at the beginning again. And my hotel was about 1.1 kilometers away, but because of this detour, it ended up being like 2 kilometers away. And I was very tired and hot and sweaty by the time I got to my hotel. I basically had to follow the train tracks. That is the raised platform for the airport train, and I basically had to backtrack following the train tracks through this dark area. And there are a bunch of businesses through here, like restaurants and cafes and things. There's even a school in there, but at this time of night, everything was closed. And there were some very sketchy people all up and down this dark area that I walked through. But anyway, it felt unsafe, but in my opinion, I was perfectly safe. I had no trouble, and I'd been here before. I'd walked up and down this area in the dark many, many times when I stayed in Medan previously. So I arrived at my new hotel, the Wisma Sederhana Hotel, and there's my room. I'm back in my low-budget world, but I'm very, very comfortable here. Another picture of my little room here. But yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. It has Wi-Fi, has an air conditioner. The bathroom even has hot water. But you do have to run the water for a long time before the hot water makes an appearance. The one big problem with this room, and I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to stay in this room, is that it's a smoking room, I guess. It smells horribly of cigarette smoke. That old, stale smell of smoking is just baked into everything in the room. But I've sort of gotten used to it. But the Wisma Sederhana Hotel is located on an interesting alleyway, which is known, it's famous in Medan as a place to go for good food. And the restaurants look like local neighborhood eateries, but all the meals they serve are a little bit fancy and a little bit expensive. So this is my very first meal that I had, nasi babi panggang, and it's absolutely amazing, really delicious. But again, a little bit more expensive than a typical meal. So even if you're getting a very simple meal here, like nasi ayam, I think, and you think it's just going to be a bed of rice with a bit of chicken on top, but it turns out you get probably 3 times more rice than you're expecting. Has 2 different types of roast pork, cooked 2 different ways, and then there it is on my table. And this meal was like 55,000 rupiah, 60,000, but it really was a good deal because it was filling, really well made, and that bowl of soup there was thick vegetable soup, and they saw how hungry I was because I hadn't eaten all day. I had the breakfast at the hotel, but then I had nothing to eat for the whole day. And they could see how hungry I was, and they brought me 3 bowls of soup. And there's the inside of the restaurant where I had my very first meal. And I ate here before on my previous trip to Medan as well. And there is the food alleyway that I talked about. So they look like typical alleyway neighborhood eateries. And you think a meal there might cost 20,000 rupiah, 15,000 rupiah, but pretty much everything in this alleyway is going to cost you a minimum of 50,000. And here is one of the nasi ayam that I got. And if you go around the plate, you'll see some very fancy things like sausage, meatball, and a bunch of other things. And then you get the soup with it as well. And this will cost you as well about, with a drink, 55,000 rupiah. So these are the sorts of meals that I've been having here in Medan. So there I got 2 bowls of soup, and this is another nasi ayam place where I had something to eat. And I've been trying out some local drinks. This was a local fruit drink that I tried out. I didn't get it because of the drink. I thought it was a picture of Canada at first. There you can see, it looks like some deer and the Rocky Mountains and a rushing river. And I thought, why do they have a picture of Canada on the drink? But when you turn the can around, there's a rhinoceros. So in fact, that was a picture of Africa, not Canada. That was quite interesting. And here as well is another meal that I had here, was kind of interesting. All they called it was mee. Doesn't have a fancy name. Mee means noodles. And I went into there and I asked them, using Google Translate, what kind of food do you make here? And they said, we make noodles. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll have a simple meal. It'll be less expensive. That'll be nice. And so please, can I have 1 plate of noodles? And this is what came to my table. Took them like 15 minutes to make it. Handcrafted noodles. There's shrimp in there. There's all kinds of meat. There's sausage. There's all kinds of stuff in there. There's like the most fancy plate of noodles I've ever had. And then the bill here also came to about 50,000 rupiah. Another plate of nasi ayam there. And then here in my hotel, they actually have a cooler in the lobby where you can get cold drinks. So I went down and got a Nescafe cappuccino, iced cappuccino out of a can. And that was also very, very tasty. So one of my big project here in Medan was setting up the laptop. And this is a picture of me. I'm deep in the process of loading everything. I didn't even do this when I was in Jakarta. I didn't have enough time. I was busy with other things. So here, when I got to Medan, and I have Wi-Fi here at this hotel, so then I finally got around to turning on the laptop, and then I had to go all through the Windows installation process. And I shot a whole behind-the-scenes video about this, so I don't have to talk about it in detail. Overall, it worked well, but I did run into a number of problems and things that I didn't understand. So for example, and things that freaked me out. When I was finally done installing Windows, and of course after you install Windows, the laptop has to restart over and over, and then you get more updates, and then it says, oh, we have to restart again. Now more updates, restarting, downloading, installing, restarting. It goes on for a little bit, and I thought I was finally done. And then I found another window of like 20 new Windows updates that needed to be downloaded, and said, would you like to update now or later? And I says, well, this took the entire day for me to figure out how to do this. And I said, okay, let's do it now. I started, let's go all the way to the end. And as part of the new set of updates, they had to flash the BIOS. And I was panic-stricken when this came up because it looks so technical. I didn't have to do anything. Everything was automated. But the language and how this screen looked, I thought, oh boy, I'm really going to get in trouble here. So I'm busy upgrading the BIOS, which they called flashing the BIOS. And again, this looks very, very scary to me. And I was very, very worried about that. So I rewarded myself with a Nescafe cold latte. I did a taste test between the cappuccino and the latte. I had to keep rewarding myself throughout the day. And everything seemed to go okay, except after flashing the BIOS, my keyboard lights wouldn't turn on anymore. And that was a big problem for a long time, because the way this laptop works, you have to have lights. If you don't have backlights, you can't see the keys. Everything is black. The keys are black, the letters are black, everything is dark. So you have to have lights. And after I flashed the BIOS, the keyboard backlight wouldn't work anymore. And I had to go through a long research process to figure out. And I eventually ended up on the Asus website, and they gave me a list of troubleshooting steps telling me, okay, if your keyboard backlights are not working, follow these steps. And there were like 8 steps. Try this one first, then this one, and they got more and more technical and more complicated with more and more language that I did not understand at all. And I was completely freaked out, but luckily the very first one worked. And the language is very complicated, but essentially all you had to do was turn off the laptop, hold down the power button for 20 seconds, and apparently it clears something on the CMOS. It's like a hard reset, and after the hard reset, my keyboard backlights came back on. So whether I was supposed to do that, I don't, who knows. But then I did run into one problem. So this is what I'm struggling with right now. and I don't understand what it's talking about. It's telling me that my Windows is not legal, basically. And I haven't solved this problem yet. I get this big error message on the laptop all the time that keeps saying Windows needs to be activated. So it directs me to the settings, and then when I try to activate Windows, I get this error message that says, well, you can read it, we can't activate Windows on this device because the product key was already used on another device. If you think it wasn't used on another device, select Troubleshoot below. So again, I have no idea what to do. I don't have a product key. I don't have Windows on a disk drive or a flash drive. All I have is the laptop. All I did was turn it on, and the laptop automatically installed Windows 11 Pro. I had no control over it, so I didn't have to enter a product key. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to input a license or serial numbers. The whole thing is automated, but then when I go to the troubleshooting, it says, troubleshooting has completed. We found a Windows 11 Home digital license for this device running Windows 11 Pro. So it's basically saying my laptop has a license for Windows 11 Home, but Windows 11 Pro is running. So this is a problem. And if I want to activate this license, I need to install Windows 11 Home. But I have no idea what's going on. I don't understand this error message at all. And of course, I don't have Windows 11 Home. I have nothing I can install. I don't know how to install Windows 11 Home. I don't know why it installed Windows 11 Pro. I mean, like I said, all I did was turn on the laptop and it did everything automatically. So I just assumed. And I guess if someone out there is like a Mac user, likes MacBooks, they can probably feel quite superior, because I don't think you run into anything like this on a MacBook. Like on a Windows laptop, you have more control over operating systems and over devices and over components. You can do things yourself, but that raises the possibility of somebody installing an illegal copy of Windows. So Windows has to look for licenses and product keys, and you run into issues like this, I guess, when you have a Windows laptop. And there's one of the error messages I get all the time. It just says Windows isn't activated. And every time I try to activate it, it tells me there's a problem. You have to troubleshoot the problem, and then troubleshoot doesn't really help me out. So there you are, the story of me and the Asus TUF. Such a complicated name. I'll just call it the Asus TUF, but it's the A16 Gaming Advanced Edition or something like that. It is the Ryzen version of the Asus TUF. So I think normally the Asus TUF line uses NVIDIA GeForce GPUs and CPUs. But for some reason, the 2023, the A16, they put in Ryzen ones. And then when I was doing research into laptops, everybody said it's an amazing laptop for that price range. It's amazing. The Ryzen CPU, Ryzen GPU combination is perfect for video editing. You'll love it. It's awesome. It's great. Get it. So that's how I ended up with it. So like I said, normally the Asus TUF uses NVIDIA components, the NVIDIA GPU and Intel CPUs. This one is a AMD Ryzen version of that, which is what they did in 2023. So anyway, that is, well, let me grab it one more time. Ooh, yeah, it is a beast. It's a bit of a brick, a bit heavy, a bit large, but a bit amazing at the same time. So hopefully we will become very, very good friends. Well, I think that is where, yeah, I will end this video, and hope you enjoyed that little slideshow with a narrated story. I really just wanted to highlight the laptop and show the laptop. I put that at the very beginning of the video. So if someone wanted to do was see the video, see the laptop, I mean, they can watch the beginning and then it's done. And then just for fun, I thought I would just narrate the story of going to Jakarta, because I don't have any video of that experience. I only took a few pictures along the way. And yeah, it was such an amazing experience meeting my mystery benefactors, wonderful people, generous people, of course, but very kind. Also very interesting life story, and very interesting to talk to. So my one issue, I guess, is I wish we had had more time to spend together, and could have gotten to know them a little bit better. But we may be meeting up in Malaysia after my trip to Sumatra, and I'm hopefully returning to Malaysia. They might also be in Malaysia at the same time, so hopefully we can meet up again. So yeah, looking forward to that. All right, from Planet Doug, it's the end of my story, shutting down as always, and I'll see you in the next one.